Cool guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are talking about Cursed. Cursed is the latest series to drop onto Netflix, which stars Kathrine Langford, and this series is adapted from a graphic novel by the same name, and the graphic novel and the series are inspired by the Arthurian legend and myth and story, which is obviously quite interesting. It's got a bit of a twist in that, and the whole sort of concept is, what if the sword had a queen instead of a king, so sort of contrasting the idea that King Arthur had the sword, and I'm going to be completely honest, this series did not do it for me at all. So after seeing the trailer for the series, I was optimistic and excited for it. I do like the fantasy genre, and I like the sort of direction that fantasy TV has been going. We've seen some really exciting stuff with, obviously, in Game of Thrones. We saw some really great stuff with the Witcher series, and I was feeling very optimistic for the series for a long time now, and I was honestly quite excited when I started this morning, and I was really looking forward to what was going to happen in the series, and I was very quickly extremely disappointed. I think one of the red flags from the get-go is just that the graphic novel itself that the series is inspired by or adapted from, that was not that well received either, if you look at some of the reviews for the graphic novel itself. So taking a source material that isn't great and then adapting it for screens, it can obviously be quite tough, and I don't think that it was done that well, because I don't think a series is going to be that well received either, if I'm honest. I haven't looked at that many other reviews. I have looked at a couple though, and there are some people who are really liking the show, and there are some people who really don't like the show. So I don't know where I'm going to exactly be in between that, but I definitely did not enjoy the show as much as I was hoping to. I definitely won't spoil anything for you if you are still going to watch the show and go through each of the episodes, so don't worry about spoilers at all, but I am just going to voice some of the things I did not enjoy about the show. So firstly, one of the things that was extremely frustrating for me were just the characters themselves. I feel like none of the characters have any depth. When there was depth at times, it just wasn't executed that well. I'm not sure if that was because of the writing or the acting, but it just didn't come across nicely on screen, in my opinion. And some of the more heartfelt moments that I think the show wanted us to feel emotional in, they just did not resonate for me at all. And quite frankly, there was a lot of times in the show where I'm just like, okay, can we just get to something interesting? So I don't know if that was just me, but I personally did not feel like most of these characters, or if not any of them, had any depth to them, and I just felt like they were all extremely bland and boring. Another thing that kind of frustrated me was the way the series had these like different transitions to sort of indicate where something else was taking place, or where another character was at a certain time or whatever. But the really annoying thing is that sometimes they use these transitions to fill in what's been happening. But the one annoying thing about these transitions was that at times it seemed like they were trying to fill in some of the story using these like 5 to 10 second transitions, and I'm like, I would have loved to have actually seen that on screen. Like, it looked really interesting. Why is it in an animated transition and not in the story? So that was really frustrating for me, and that was immediately another thing that I just picked up on that I just was like a little frustrated about, because sometimes there were these cool fight scenes happening in these transitions, and you know, like some interesting stuff happening here and there, and we just didn't actually get to see that in the show, besides the transition effect, which I thought was a weird creative choice they went with on the show, personally. Kathrine Langford obviously plays the main character in the show, and unfortunately I didn't really care much for her character throughout the first season, and that really sucks. And I know Kathrine Langford is a pretty dynamic actress, and I know she can reach that range. You know, I know she has range in her acting capacity and ability, but unfortunately in this show I just didn't feel that, so I didn't really see that. Not quite sure if that was the writing or if it was her as an actress, but I feel like as an actress she definitely is a bit more dynamic usually, and I just felt in this performance it just didn't do it for me, unfortunately. Maybe that is a large majority because of the writing, but I'm not quite sure. And that really sucks when your lead character isn't compelling, or you don't really feel much empathy for them. It sucks. So unfortunately I didn't like Kathrine Langford's character in this series that much, and I wasn't really rooting for her either, which sucks because I just found her really boring and dull. Another very frustrating thing for me was just the complete contrast between the exterior outdoor shots to the interior, you know, set design sort of shots. There was a huge difference in quality there, in my opinion. Some of the outdoor cinematography and the outdoor shots and the exterior shots looked beautiful and awesome, and really, really great. And then there were some interior shots that are obviously done like on a soundstage or a set that just didn't look as great, and it looked really cheap and badly done, which is a problem because it's very distracting, and you sort of have this difference in quality throughout each episode. Look, maybe no one will even notice that, but that was something that clearly stood out for me, and it became extremely distracting throughout watching the show. I also just think the show didn't quite know what it wanted to be. I think clearly from the promotional material and even casting Kathrine Langford in the lead role, the show was clearly trying to target the same sort of demographic who would be watching 13 Reasons Why, and that sort of audience. And I think the show definitely feels like it's aimed to the sort of older teenagers and the young adults. And I think that really comes across at times in the show, and you can clearly tell that they are trying to target that sort of demographic. But then there are other parts of the show where it feels a bit different. It feels like they're targeting more of like the Witcher crowd or the Game of Thrones crowd. But then it just doesn't feel tonally consistent throughout the show, which is also a bit of a problem. Some of the action just sometimes feels like it's a bit fast-tracked to get back to dialogue stuff, which is not doing much for the show, which again is quite frustrating. I mean, at least with the action sequences and the action set pieces, it's kind of entertaining to view, you know? I don't know, I feel like the show was kind of building up to stuff that didn't really pay off either, and that was another disappointment for me. Guys, I've probably said disappointed way too many times in this review, so I'm going to wrap this review up. I'm giving Cursed a 2 out of 5. It's at 40% for me, and look, I'm going to say it one more time, I was disappointed, and that's really unfortunate. But I hope you guys are enjoying it if you are watching it, or if you have watched it, I'd be very curious to know your thoughts. Let me know without spoiling anything what you think of the show so far, or what you think of the show as a whole if you have finished it. But thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Umbrella Academy Season 2 is dropping next week. That's exciting. I'm keen to talk about that one. And I've got a lot of other videos planned as well. So if you are interested in this content, please consider subscribing. No pressure. But thank you so much for watching this video in particular. You are absolutely amazing. I hope you have a great weekend. And I hope you are staying safe and healthy out there. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you and bye-bye.